What is going on, everybody out there in the YouTube trucking community? Sean Cahalan, Christian Brother Trucker, coming at you, giving another video tonight. And tonight's topic is going to be talking about safety as a driver, how to stay safe. More specifically, I know safety is kind of a big, topic, but more specifically, we're talking about how to stay safe and secure while in your truck. When you park at night, how to avoid being robbed, how to avoid being mugged, how to avoid cargo theft and things like that. So, a lot of, if you guys aren't aware, there's a lot of videos circling around YouTube right now about drivers who have gone missing and drivers that are being basically murdered. And it just got brought up as a topic by one of my viewers, and thank you for the suggestion. And it's a really great topic to talk about. A lot of this is going to be kind of reiterating some of the stuff that I talked about in some of my previous videos about parking. So if you guys want to go back and watch that video where I talked about parking in trucking, I go over some of this in detail, but I can kind of cover some more thoughts that go along with this, because it's very important to know your environment and to know your surroundings. I have watched a couple of these videos talking about the drivers that came up missing, and one of the drivers had parked right outside of the shipper on a road that was right outside of the shipper. I'm not really aware of, particulars of where it was at, but it was outside of the shipper. It wasn't very well lit. It was on a road, kind of like a service road, that connected into the shipper, but I don't think it was well lit. I've been out here for off and on for about 8 years, and I haven't had any incidents of being harassed, being messed with, and I attribute a lot of that to being aware of my surroundings and knowing, kind of going off of my gut feeling of knowing where not to park. And I know that's kind of a general statement, but let's get into more specifics of what I'm talking about. How do you know geographically where good places to park are or are not? Well, you want to look for areas that are well lit. You want to look for areas that may have other trucks in the area. And you want to look for areas that are outside of major metropolitan city areas. So, what I mean by this, and this is going to be kind of your general driving habits, but this is planning ahead as well. So, when you've got places like Mobile, Alabama, or Atlanta, Georgia, or, put in major metropolis area here or there, it doesn't really matter, LA, Stockton, downtown Seattle, whatever, what have you, you don't want to park there. You don't want to park in or around a major city center. And I know that it can't always be avoided. But what you can do is you can make sure that you park where the other trucks are parking. So, always plan ahead of where you're going to park that truck. And do not park your truck in a dual zone. You're like, what's dual zone? Don't park your truck in a dual zone area that is commercial/residential. And you can usually tell these locations because it's not an actual commercial zone, which means you don't have shipper after shipper after shipper, or warehouse after warehouse after warehouse. It's dual purpose or dual zone, where you'll have warehousing on one side and you'll have residential housing on the other side. And sometimes it's mixed, where you'll have warehouses and apartments on the other side. And sometimes you'll have a warehouse, a field, and then a house and an apartment building, and then another business. The reason why you want to avoid these areas, it's because it's an easy opportunity for people that know the area really well. They know what to look for. And if you happen to be the guy that's going to be parking loaded in any of these areas, they're going to know, the local people are going to know how to steal stuff, or they're going to know how to rob you and get away with it. And, it just creates a very easy opportunity for them to rob you or kill you, or whatever the case may be. So you want to avoid parking in any of these weird off-the-wall dual zone locations where you have residential and commercial properties mixed together. The other thing that you want to avoid is you want to run your clock in a manner to where on your clock you can drive into the city, make your delivery, and get out. And I know this won't always be possible, but it's usually always pretty practical. It just means that if you're on a load and you're not going to be delivering until 10 o'clock the next morning, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to stop short of that city about 50 to 75 miles and park outside of the city at your most convenient truck stop location or rest area that's well lit. And in the morning, when you fire up, you have 50 minutes, an hour, maybe an hour and a half to get in, make your delivery, and a lot of times you'll have your next load already stacked on you. So after you deliver that load, then you're going to go to your reload, get reloaded, and get out of any city center area that you're in and look for a place to park. Always try to avoid parking in any city metropolitan area. Always try to run your clock accordingly so that you can get in, deliver, reload, and get out. Because the further out that you go from these city center areas, it's going to be easier for you to find parking. The other thing that you can do is you can do a split clock. Well, this is going to require some research on your part in order to learn how to do a split clock. But that's basically where, let's say you start up in the morning, you got 200 miles to go to your delivery. You go to your delivery, you get emptied out, and it took them a long time for them to unload you. Well, then you go to your reload, and you're sitting at your reload for a long time getting loaded up, and you run out of time on your 14-hour clock. Well, you can split your clock and drive out of that city to go find you somewhere to park. Again, this is going to be, a lot of knowing your surroundings and using good situational awareness. Another thing that you can do is, if you're really unsure about where you're parking, is, and I'll give you a personal example of this. I was in between Atlanta and, so I was in between Georgia and Alabama. I can't remember what highway I was on, but I stopped at this little off-the-wall little Shell truck stop. And when I say off-the-wall little, I mean it only had enough parking for maybe 5 to 10 trucks. Okay? So, and this is pretty late at night. I think it was about 10 o'clock at night or something like that. I don't really remember the specific details. But when I got there, I got out of the truck and I was doing a walk around to make sure that my truck and trailer was okay. And I just normally walk around my rig at night to kind of glance things over. And I noticed that there was a lot of broken seals on the ground where the backs of the trailers are. Now, you know, you're talking plastic seals, metal seals, broken bolt seals, and padlocks. Sometimes you'll see the little padlocks. If you are in any truck stop or any location, well, I guess truck stops will be the only one that you would really notice this. But if you walk behind where all the backs of the trailers are normally parked and you see broken seals all over the place, do not park there. You will be robbed. So, I had parked and I mentioned something to my wife, and she got on Google, Google Maps or something like that, and she was looking at the ratings for the business that I was parked at, the truck stop, right? Well, in the Google reviews, it said, high crime, high theft area, do not park there. So, I called up my safety department, and I let them know what the situation was, and they said, yeah, get out of there, go park somewhere else. Peace, see it. And, you know, you're looking for safe parking, you're looking for safe haven, whatever the case may be. But this truck stop in particular was just a truck stop out in the middle of nowhere. It was on a, you know, state highway. But off in the distance was a bunch of housing and apartments and stuff. And I can hear, you know, loud music and partying and stuff like that. So, you know, I can only assume that the local ruffians are taking advantage of sleeping truck drivers, and they just break the seal on the trailer and help themselves to whatever's in the back of your truck. So Google reviews are a good way to go, and you can do that Google review stuff, shippers, receivers, truck stops, and things like that. There was another time I parked in California. It was in between LA and Stockton. It was somewhere in Central California. And I pulled into a Pilot. Very busy truck stop. But one of the parking areas had the trailers backed up to a field. And there was no lighting back there. It was during the day when I parked there. And so I had taken my tent off, and I left out that afternoon, so I wasn't parking there overnight. But I noticed broken seals, broken bolts, bolt seals, and padlocks that were cut. If you walk around your truck, look at the ground, and look along where the trailers are going to be backed up. If you see that, don't park there. Also, don't park on the local residential city streets outside of the shipper. It's not a good practice. That's not where you want to be. So just plan accordingly. Try to plan yourself out to where you're going to be parking in a safe location, and just do your best to make sure that you are parking at secure, well-lit locations. You know, the more out in the I guess the more risky behavior is that parking out on the streets in these dual zone commercial / residential areas in these big metropolitan city areas, city centers, it's going to put you at a high risk. But it's also going to make you high risk of parking on the streets outside of the shippers as well. It's really convenient for you as a driver to just be able to limp yourself into the shipper or the receiver, but it's putting you at risk for falling victim to cargo theft or robbery. So just be aware of that. Another couple of things that you can do is always be in contact with your driver manager and things like that, and you know, somebody at home, a friend, a family member, a spouse, or something like that, and check with them often. That way, if something happens to you, somebody's going to know right away. But like I said, I've been out here for about 8 years, and I've never personally, I haven't ran into any issues dealing with people messing with me or anything else like that. So, again, I think that the biggest contributor to that is I'm just aware of my surroundings, and I don't park in city areas. I avoid that like the plague. That's the last thing that I want to do, is to be parking out on the streets. And I think for me personally, I learned this lesson the hard way, and it was in Phoenix. And I had parked out on the street in a dual zone commercial place, and I just got this really bad feeling. And I think I may have done it one other time other than that. And after that point, I just, because of the bad feelings that I got of being in these kind of areas, I just don't park there. Most of these dual zone residential areas are low income housing, which are really run down. And so they're in neighborhoods that are impoverished with, not the best kind of people running around. So they're going to take advantage of what they can take advantage of, right? So don't give them an easy target. Don't give them an easy opportunity. Stick to the truck stops. And even at the truck stops, when you shut down for the night, go back into the sleeper and mind your own business. I always tell people, close your curtains and don't make eye contact with anybody. Because when you make eye contact with somebody, then they're going to come talk to you. And if they come talk to you, they're going to try to run a scam on you. So, just keep to yourself. When you park, close your curtains, come back to the sleeper, and just kick back and relax. That's how I do it. That's how I avoid it. But I also have a little tire buddy, a stick. And I guarantee you one thing, if somebody pounds on my door in the middle of the night, I'm grabbing that stick. First thing I'm going to grab is that stick, or so if you've got a hammer or a stick or whatever the case may be, grab that first before you open your curtains to find out who's pounding on your door. And in most cases, whoever's pounding on your door, if you're not illegally parked, is going to be up to no good, or, it might be somebody that is going to try to run a scam on you. Now, unfortunately, if somebody's coming up to your truck and asking you for help, the thing that we want to do is we want to jump out of our truck and go offer aid. But unfortunately, people may take advantage of that and rob you. So if somebody needs help, don't jump out of your truck and immediately jump to their aid. Call the police. The first thing that you should do is call the police. If somebody's needing help, if somebody's broke down, if somebody's in trouble, whatever the case may be, do not play Mr. Hero and jump out of your truck and go try to give aid. Call the police. Why do you want to call the police? Because if you call the police and the police come out, then you have backup. But if you don't, and they talk you into getting out of your truck, there might be 2-3 people hiding in the weeds that are going to jump you and steal your wallet, beat the crap out of you, maybe kill you. You just don't know. So, number one thing, folks, is just be smart, be aware of your surroundings, and plan accordingly. And it's easy to want to be the nice guy, but there are scammers out here, and there are people out here that will run a scam on you, and they will roll you, and they will try to steal your wallet. They will try to steal whatever they can get their hands on, because there's a lot of desperate people out there, unfortunately. So those are my main points on staying safe out here. You're safest in your truck, so don't get out of your truck. If you're at a truck stop, usually you won't run into a lot of problems, but even at truck stops, you can run into certain people that may try to run a scam on you or run one over on you. Don't believe everybody that's out here that's got a hard luck story. Let's you know, it goes against our heartstrings, right? We want to help everybody out. But a lot of people out here, that's what they do. They scam. And you don't want to fall victim to either a financial scam or, worse than that, you know, get led into an ambush and end up being another statistic of a driver who's missing and hasn't been found or is found murdered. So I hope this helps. Those are pretty much all of my ideas. You know, like I said, I just like right now I'm parked in a well-lit parking lot outside of a Quick Trip, and I'm not at the main truck stop, but I'm in the overflow parking lot, and there's lots of lighting out. So just be aware of where you are. That's the main important thing. And if you're not sure, get out and walk around your truck and look for evidence. And that evidence, if you see a lot of broken seals and busted bolt seals and padlocks and stuff like that, you're sitting in a high crime area. So if you see that, that's your first sign that you don't want to park there overnight. You might want to park somewhere else. Or in the case of this truck stop that I was talking about, you might want to park in an area that's closer to the fuel pumps, or something to where you can back your trailer up to a fence line or something else. But this area in particular, there was no fence line. It was just a field, and then there was like this off-road trail that you know, ran along the back of the trailers. And it's like, yeah, so they're just, you know, backing up their pickup truck right along this trail, busting seals and stealing freight out of the back of trucks while truckers are sleeping. So another good thing too, if you think about it, is bring a dog with you. But when you pick your furry companion, make sure that that furry companion is, you know, the type of breed that's made for protection. Not all breeds are created equal. So you want to get one that's not prone to obsessive barking, but you're going to want to get one that won't think twice to rip somebody's arm off if they try to break into your truck. So if you bring a furry pooch out here with you, make sure it's not a little rat dog chihuahua that's really not going to do much other than bark. Might work for some people, but you know, if I was to bring a dog out here with me, I would make sure that it was a medium-sized dog that was, you know, either a Doberman Pinscher or, you know, German Rottweiler or German Shepherd, or something that's not going to be afraid to latch onto somebody's arm if they attempt to come into your truck. You know, it's not going to do you a whole lot of good if your dog runs to the back of the sleeper while somebody reaches into your truck and grabs a hold of you or something, you know. So just be thoughtful of that when you're picking your furry companion to come out here on the truck with you. I see a lot of people choose the pit bulls. Pit bulls are a great breed, especially if you get them as a puppy and they're socialized right. They're a great dog. But you know, just be thoughtful about that, and just be safe first and foremost. And the first thing that we need to do is we just need to be aware of our surroundings and use our situational awareness. So that's all I've got on that topic. Thank you for watching, and God bless you all.